Thanks for staying with us. Now, a mind shift is a change of focus and perception. It can have extraordinary power to make relationships more positive and healthy, to improve your focus and rate of success, and to build self-esteem and overall happiness. Those are the things that a mind shift will do for you. A mind shift is an aha moment on steroids. It's the movement of the tectonic plates in your psyche, opening your mind to entirely new ways of thinking and acting. Now, author, speaker, and coach extraordinaire Steve Chandler writes about mind shift in his book, Mindshift. Shift your mind, rather, shift your world. He suggests that by tweaking your way of thinking, you can turn your life around completely. He knows, because he also happened to have been an alcoholic, that he was a life reactor to, and he now became a life creator, owning his own life. He used that technique to, to better his life. So how can we use this technique behind Mindshift to build a better Nigeria? Because some of us have argued and that we're dealing with a mindset problem in this country. You see, we always say it's the mindset, the mindset. All right, so please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. So I want to bring in Omololu in like a minute. I just wanted to hear your thoughts. Mindset. She's always Madam Teacher. So what do you think, because I think, honestly speaking, I've come to a conclusion that we have big problem. Oba was raining on social media. And see the way people, you would know that the thing we are dealing with, the demon we're dealing with, is actually within. It's not something that we can just, maybe like a new dispensation can change. No, it's like taking a pig out of a mud and putting him in a very beautiful house. I mean, it's still a pig.
Out of the
you can't take the mud out of the pig, So, but let me hear your thought, Norma. What do you think? How can we use mind shift as a tool, right, in changing a new narrative for Nigeria? What do you think?
I mean, when I remember very quickly what Napoleon Hill said, when he said that whatever the mind can conceive, the mind will be able to achieve it. So every time I see people and I see them depict certain behavior, the first thing I'm thinking about is what mind? Where was this person formed? What was the information that this person was exposed to become this person that we're seeing today? So the mind is very powerful. Unfortunately, a lot of us are not conscious of how powerful the mind is and how the results that with the outcome that we see in our lives are a product
directly
of the way we think. So you see people, trying to do all sorts of things. Some even go as far as praying and this and that. But when your mind has not changed, the results cannot
never be changed.
So it's just everything,
absolutely
everything, good and evil, starts from the mind.
And if I may buttress something, the best way we can actually look at this is it's like a little plague. Basically, it stretches and it engulfs everybody in different ways, but it's leading towards a common goal, which is destruction. So if your mindset isn't on the right plane, you can't keep doing something in one particular way and expecting to get results.
Definition of
insanity. Totally. So your mind shift is so important because it takes you away from the negatives to the positives. And imagine if we had a generation of 8-year-olds, we just pick all the 8-year-olds in a generation and decide to work on their mindset. That means that we will have another generation that will be a giving generation that will be able to mold the world towards positivity.
A better way.
Yes.
Yeah, so let me bring in our guest. I mean, better said than to call the person that wrote the Mindshift book. Omololu Ogunmade is an author and a public speaker with an entrepreneurial drive. He has a background in sales and marketing with a history that also covers the consumer goods supply industry. He authored the book Mindshift. With Mindshift, Omololu is sharing on the concept of new thinking as the bedrock of new ideas and directions that will lead to a new and a better result results and life outcomes. Now, these principles can be applied both at the individual and communal level to bring forth a better life expression for the majority. So that's why we brought him here. Omololu wants to tell us how we can change Nigeria, because for me, I'm very passionate about Nigeria, and most times when I talk about Nigeria and the problems, and I see that a lot of people, they are stuck in a space, you know. So if we want to talk about, you know, changing minds or shifting perspectives, right, where do we even start from?
Yeah, well, let me say good evening, right? Once again, I'm bracketized by ladies. I was here some months ago with my wife, and
yeah.
For me, you know, I didn't go in search of the knowledge. You know, so for me, it's more inspirational than theoretical. You know, I woke up on a certain Thursday morning, preparing to go out for my speaking engagement that day, and the word came to me. And that's why, if you notice, I write it together. I don't separate it. Because it came as a verb. It's an action word. So I noticed right from the beginning that this is something you have to do. But for me, I arrived at it, you know, serendipitously.
Yeah.
I was going through a process that I was not conscious of. But people around me were seeing it, but I didn't see it, and they could not define it. So when I got that word, and truthfully, I'd never come across anything on Mindshift before then. You just quoted it, and not for now. I've not even seen that book. So it was something nouveau to me, and I was like, what is this? And, you know, it took me a couple of months to start, you know, it was like a download, really. I would sit down and, you know, text would start coming, and I'll start writing down. And that's how I arrived at the book, and in 8 months, I had the book. Now, for me, I define Mindshift as the journey from where you are to the new mindset. She talks about mindset a lot. Mindset is a finished product. Mindshift is the process
to which you get there.
So when you talk about paradigm shift, the paradigm, the mindset are the end products of a process of mind shift. So mind shift is a process of deliberately seeking out new information to guide your thinking, so you think new thoughts. With that comes new directions, new ideas, new concepts, and that opens up new opportunities. So if you look at it as an individual, you know, in the last 4 or 5 years, the work of Mindshift has taken my life in a different direction than I was before. So it's practical. So when I talk about it, there's a lot of, you know, myself involved in it, because I know this is real.
Okay, I just want to do a follow-up before I let AC come in. You know, when you talk about mind shifts, right, there is an element of where you get to being, where you begin to say, okay, you know, I need this thing.
Exactly.
Do you think we're ready for that in Nigeria?
It's a two-pronged question. Those of us who are conscious are ready for it. But the larger population... Are
we enough? Yes, I was going to go there.
Yes,
the majority of...
a person can change the nation. We have someone at the head of affairs now whose decisions
has changed the whole nation.
are either going to make it better or make it worse. So the fact that one person has come to that point of realization is good enough.
It's powerful enough.
So once we now have a groundswell of more people thinking like that, and, you know, looking at the three of you tonight, I'm like, oh, wow, this is a club of mind shifters, you know, because, you know, we're already there, so to speak. Now, we need to take this to the larger populace. And I remember I was talking to an older friend a couple of weeks ago, and he's been trying to get me to do something in the area of training and directed at the youth, you know, for like 3 years. And I'm like, how do we go about this? And what is becoming more and more obvious is that we have a problem. And it's a big problem. Yes. Forget those, our daddies. They've done and they're still doing their thing. But, you know, we keep saying the youth are the future. We're handing over to a generation that is completely jinxed. And I say that with responsibility, I say with respect, because some of them are listening. You sit down with the average 20, 22, 23 to 30, 40-year-old, and you're like, we're in trouble. You know, she said something close to that earlier. Because the way they think right now At times I'm like, do they even think? Because one of the things I've also realized is people don't know how to think. So we're talking about new thinking with the assumption that people know how to think. I am finding that people don't know how to think.
Wow.
People just wake up in the morning, follow a certain routine, arrive at home in the evening, sleep, wake up and start all over again. And until we get to that point where people realize that there's more to life than what they are seeing right now, what they are doing right now, there's something about you, which is why the writer of the book is, tapping into your own creative essence. Each individual has an essence. That's the person you are on the inside, the true you. Not the you we see on the outside. We're all, made up and looking cool tonight, but there's somebody
That's
under this,
Shell.
this shell and this facade. That person is the person who's doing the thinking for this outer person.
Yeah.
If that person is, skewed, there's a problem. And that is what has happened. Nigeria has gone from a nation of values, to a nation where everybody is on survival mode. And it does not matter how you get to survive, just survive.
Okay.
That's a big issue.
So, you talked about the youth being the future of tomorrow, and currently we haven't. Would you say we have actually failed the youth? And let's look at the role of education in this. Basically, currently we have a situation where we've all complained that the education system is dilapidated. So, what is the role of education in this, and especially those we have those in the public schools and we have those in the private schools. We all know that some private schools are doing better than a lot of public schools. So those in the public schools, they attempt to be, in your book, they attempt to be the educated victims, basically. So what's your take on this? So what's the role of education in creating a good mind shift?
When I get to talk about the education part of it, I want to be careful so that, because you could be seen to be bashing education.
Please do.
No bashing in terms of, giving the impression that education is not necessary.
Okay.
Now, I'm a product of a combination of both private schools and public schools.
Okay.
But what has happened is, you hear a lot of our daddies telling you that when they were in school, this is the kind of meals they were getting. This is, they were even getting stipends, and everything was okay. But the same people, now some of us are growing into that generation, what are they doing with the educational system we have now? When a government can be at peace for lecturers to be on strike for up to a month, for up to 6 months, for up to a year.
2 years, yeah.
2 years.
And we have a government in place. It tells you how they think or are not thinking. So when you start to break it down, there are so many layers to it. So it's like a complex situation, but that really has a simple solution, in the sense that the simple solution is love your neighbor as yourself. So if I'm thinking about my advancement, then I should think about Issa's advancement alongside mine.
Absolutely.
So I must be able to locate myself in the larger picture, the bigger picture, which is a community. So if I seek my own progress, my own advancement, exclusive of everybody else, I'm creating a problem already that will consume not just them, but me too.
As well. But they're not seeing it like that.
That's why we need to project these messages.
Yes, yeah.
We need to talk about it.
They're not seeing it now. Sometimes they are building, when all these NSARS and the looting and everything happened, you don't realize that even if you had like titanium wall, it can be brought down in 2 seconds by these people. Do you understand? Sometimes I wonder if they see these things. But let me come to Norma.
Yeah, I was just going to continue from there. I mean, I couldn't help but notice what he put first in the book, where you said the need to know more is the need to be more.
Exactly.
And so you can give more. So tell us a little bit about that. What did you mean by that?
I realized that for anything to change, okay, let me put it this way. The results I have today, the results you have today, are results of your thinking patterns that led to the attitudes, your attitudes, the way you do things. which determine your actions, and then the actions determine your results. So if I'm going to get better results, I need to learn better than I knew before.
Exactly.
So there is a need that is established for me to know more. So if I know more, I have expanded capabilities and capacity. So I'm more. So I become more. It's a state of being now. And because I have become more, I can give more.
Almost like becoming like a superior being, so to speak.
Compared to where I started from.
Superior information, superior knowledge, growth. That's what we're talking
growth.
about. The more we grow.
But growth in terms of the person you are on the inside, which eventually will radiate and reflect on the outside. But we know, that's why I juxtapose that with the humdrum life of just waking up and rushing out there to get things done. There's no reflective moment. There's no,
How can life be better?
Exactly.
Okay. So we are talking now. I like to find solution. That's why when I saw Mindshift, I say, Father Lord, we need a Mindshift in this country. I mean, Nigeria is in dire need of just something different, and I know that, as we had said earlier, is not something from an external point of view. It has to come from within. So if you were to give or you know what, let us quickly just go on a very short break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're having an amazing chat with Omololu Ogunmade on Mindshift as a way to birth a new Nigeria. Anything that has to do with mind. I don't want to lose time. Now, please let us share what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. We're getting some messages already. So I was just going to say to you that, how do we even, because, you see, the thing that happened over the weekend with money and everything, how do you begin to tell a young person that it is with more knowledge that they can become better when
with what they're seeing?
Right now we have objectified what's it called, money.
Opulence.
I mean, if you do not drive certain kinds of car, you're not worthy for me to even talk to you. Do you understand? That is where we are today as Nigerians. So you mentioned it when you started your opening, when you said that anything, by all means, just survive. And that by all means just survive is our biggest problem right now in this country. How do we even correct that mindset that you can't just by all means survive?
That's why I said it's a complex situation where it's a simple solution.
I've not heard your solution.
No, that's where we're going. We need to have platforms like this constantly saying it. Because you see, we got to where we are now because people were saying it. It doesn't matter how you get it. You say that to someone repeatedly.
Yep.
The truth becomes, the lie becomes the truth.
Exactly.
It becomes acceptable. So now you have association of mothers of 419ers.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's real.
Very true.
So the more we
values
say
are
this,
dead.
the more we deliberately create platforms for this, which is why I spoke about the older friend who's been trying to get me to. So what he's discovered is he's done so many empowerment stuff for youth around him. With his money and with money from friends of his. And it's still not working.
Sufficient.
So when he read my book, he called me whilst he was reading the book and said, Lulu, I think you have something here we can work with. How do we do it? And I told myself, when I wrote the book, it wasn't because I wanted to do anything like that, but I see how something leads to something else. And, so now I have a training platform where I'm now training. But the point is, we need to keep saying it. Because what you say, goes into someone's subconscious and stays there until the day it is called to act.
Okay, quickly, we have some questions. Norman, you start.
Yes, I think this is coming from Bobby Kennedy from Jalingo, Taraba State. And he said, not only Mindshift, certainly we're different. We have different mindsets in dealing with what we are facing critically in Nigeria. We've never been divided like this. Since God created the country, Government is the main culprit. Please, may God see us through. Okay, he was just making a comment.
Okay, was a comment.
Okay. This from Benson. He says, "Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Ask the guest, what quality of thinking is rewardable in our present-day Nigeria?" So, what quality
that's like philosophical
of thinking is rewardable?
You know, I said something earlier. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Now, that puts a responsibility on you to love yourself first. It didn't say love your neighbor, then yourself. It said love your neighbor as yourself.
I think you are saying what the ideal should be.
You know, it's
Benson's question.
That's the thing.
Benson's question is, you are saying the ideal. Benson's question is saying, what quality of thinking is rewardable in our present day Nigeria? It is, okay, go there.
Once you get to the point where you love yourself and you can take that love and, you know, love is something is value that you place, is value placing.
You know, I like Omololu. It's just you are just trying to do the, you're doing the perfect mindset. Benson's question in my head, though. I don't know about Benson. Maybe you should help me explain it. In my head, it's like, which thinking?
How do we go forward?
You don't even get my point. Which thinking is rewardable in our present day Nigeria? Is the thinking of I want to blow? Because like, do you understand? Why you avoiding it?
I said the more you say it, the more it sinks.
Oh, so you're trying to. Oh, okay, now I get you.
Avoid it.
Reverse psychology. Okay.
Please don't call the waistline. Today is not for phone calls. We are only taking, what's it called, SMSs and WhatsApp today, please. Today is not for phone calls. So I have a question. Let me quickly take my comment from Ade. Ade always sends us, hi Ade from the UK. He says, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ade has added gentlemen. What's the mind shift / mindset of our government? Everybody's asking you this question. They allowed property developers to build on Lagos Island, Lekki and environs by driving away part of the garbage. No plans of drainage system to avoid flooding in Lagos. The Marina car park flooding and the car floating in Lagos is a big disaster and further warning ringing a bell on us. A good mind shift / mindset is to have a great development and a better living standard for all. Sure. You know, the truth is, so how do we move these our leaders to and us, because it's not just about the leaders. As I said earlier, it's not the leader that drank pet bottle and threw it off the over the window. So how do we start to change the, because
try not to be pessimistic. There's really not much we can do about the leaders we have right now.
Okay.
That's just the plain truth. There's really not much we can do.
But
what we can do is to target that groundswell of the next set of leaders. That's why I talked about the fact that the youth that we are going to hand over to, where are they at in terms of their mind functioning? The people that are there right now are set. Now, we have some of them who got into, the political machineries, whether it's PDP, APC, YPP, whatever, hoping to eventually get to some position of influence where they can then show themselves. But the problem is, they tie so many things to them along that path to emergence as a political leader that when they get to that office, they are completely dysfunctional. So we need to go to another generation and start putting these things. If you notice how, this like a digression, I stumbled on a video this morning of these terrorists in the Middle East training children.
Yep.
You talked about us taking 8-year-olds. Now we need to, because of the emergency of it, we need to go higher than that. So you're looking at the people leaving secondary schools, you are looking at the people who are about to leave universities, which is one of the things that these people have been trying to get me to, how we can work with NANS and other NGOs that work with the youth and start, in quote, indoctrinating.
Absolutely.
So this has to be an indoctrination program. Do you have a question, right?
Definitely.
So currently in Nigeria, we have issues. Everybody is upset. Everybody is angry. And we have this unforgiving feeling or emotions we have around us, especially after the NSARS, where some people are of the school of thought that something actually broke in Nigerians when that thing happened. So how do we address this? How do we move this mind shift of, from unforgiveness to forgiveness? First, how do we do this?
It has to be deliberate, but it has to have people who
Being
are
deliberate,
championing
what are
it.
what are
Yes.
those steps we need to take?
The first step is to go back to what we used to be like. I grew up my early days in Surulere, where my neighbors were Igbos. We had Hausas that come to do stuff for us. We had not, we even had Ghanaians before they were told to leave Nigeria, you know. And all of those people were either uncle or auntie.
Exactly.
You know, you didn't know that this was an Igbo man, this is an Hausa man in that context that we see today being projected majorly by politicians. So the average Nigerian has to identify with Nigeria first as a, you know, as a geographic expression before going back to where they came from in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Now, like I said earlier, this current set of leaders may not be able to inspire that nationalism in us anymore because we have a disconnect with them.
Totally.
You know, but we now have to find people amongst ourselves that we can push in front of these people and let them see that, okay, that was an aberration. So let's let go of those emotions, let go of those ill feelings and see ourselves again as Nigerians, and then start to work from there and determine, you know, you said it earlier, that what is the Nigerian, you know, concept?
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a Nigerian? That will make me decide I want to be a part of that, rather than just, you know, get my passport and go to Canada. Because the average American knows why he or she is an American.
You know, back in the days when we were growing up, there was the war against indiscipline, and that there were jingles in the on air.
Yeah.
Steady every time telling us how we're supposed to
It is
behave,
on
how we're
Mamsa.
supposed to, you know, do things. Can the government actually help us, you know, by reintroducing things like this?
No, I don't even think it's the government. So what I hear Omololu saying is, you know, if we penetrate, for instance, we go into secondary schools, we go into the universities and all of that. But some people have argued that that formula is already stale, that we should go to 5-year-olds. Even the 8-year-old self is not working, that we should move down all the way down to 5-year-olds, you know. But that's another argument.
From somewhere.
Yeah, that's another
You have to
argument.
cascade it. You have to take it
It's
down.
not working because of the people leading it. Because you see, people look at you and they read you.
Exactly.
So if you're coming to me for what is supposed to be a humanitarian program, but the bottom line for
The
you is the money,
concept, yes.
Exactly.
I can read it. Your
Exactly.
body languages show it eventually.
Exactly.
So once the people can't connect with you at the level of trust in terms of your deliverable,
So they can't even listen to
they
what
won't
you're
listen.
saying.
In fact, I
Yeah.
was going to ask that
okay.
as a question, because while he was talking, what I kept hearing in my head was the trust. Young people do not have come to that position where they don't even trust themselves.
true.
Exactly.
So how do you begin to find ways to elect, I don't know if I'm communicating, but elect people that are trustworthy to run these causes?
If you go to any subset of population, let's say for instance, you go to Ujole Bonda Bridge and you gather all those area boys and you tell them, show me your leader or who you would prefer to be your leader. They will bring somebody to you
Yes,
and they
true.
will tell you why that's the person
prefer
they
the
want.
person.
Yes.
What happens is communities bring the people they would prefer. The politicians say no. This is the person we want to send there. Why? This one will
We do our
bootlick.
bidding.
That one is too independent minded to do what we
Can't
want.
control.
So we need to go back to those communities and tell them, give us your leader.
Okay, so I have a comment here. It says, good evening, ladies. I have a question for your guest. What is his contribution to the Nigerian mindset in terms of organizing seminars? He has already told you he's going into NANS and, and
have a comment.
some schools, yes.
I have a comment from Cynthia from Gombe State, and she says, good evening, beautiful people. There are a lot of good people with good mindsets in Nigeria, but the state of the country is so depressing that sometimes we have to drop Mindshift and try to survive.
True.
So how do we
that's-
deal with that?
That's
In-
something that
as we
people
wrap
who
up
are
the
good,
conversation.
who are really good people and they really want to do good things. But when they look at the situation around them, it's so discouraging, it's so depressing.
The most direct answer is not to lose hope. Hope is said to be the anchor of the soul. Now, you see, Nigeria is supposed to be the think tank for Africa. Particularly the black Africa. Nigeria is supposed, that's why we have the kind of people we have in terms of, and you see them go out and, in quotes, blow everywhere else. So we are blessed with people who can think, who can organize, who can strategize. So we need to form alliances across the world.
Somebody's attacking. He says your guest has been hard on older generation, which I belong. My take on this topic is about value. Exactly. We had the Jacondes, Ambrose, and Amino Kanos. My disappointment is that the leadership over time lacks integrity to be trusted. So we are still going back to this trust. But I think we've had a fantastic conversation. What we might need to do is probably bring you back because, since you said it has to be a continuous conversation where if we keep talking about it long enough, the way we have been programmed over the years, to believe that the anomaly now is the norm. So we can now reverse that. So maybe again, if we also, because for us on Ways, we talk a lot about anything that has to do with shaping the mindset of people. So we would really love to have you back, but we have run out of time. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Isi Ofodele.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much, Omololu Ogunmade. We had a fantastic call. I hope you had a good time with us, and you will come back again. All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram. It's at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, we are planning a huge giveaway just to say thank you to you for believing in the Ways brand and following the conversation. So do well to follow us now. Follow us now. It's at PlusTvAfrica on Instagram. Like, share, comment, and invite your friends as well and family to watch and follow us as well. So if you missed today's quote, here it is again. I'm going to ask our guest if he agrees with our quote. It says, you must learn a new way to think before you can master a new way to be. Do you agree with our quote?
That's true.
Absolutely. That's true. All right, so we'll see you live tomorrow as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.